that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon and have touched with our very hands, concerning the word of life. The life was made manifest, and we have seen it and testified to it and proclaimed to you eternal life, which was with the Father and was made manifest to us.
Yes.
That which we have seen and heard, we proclaim also to you, so that you too may have koinonia, that fellowship with us. And indeed, our fellowship is with the Father and with the Son. And we are writing these things so that our joy, we're writing these things so that our joy, we're writing these things so that our joy may be perfected, complete, whole. We're happy because we know Him. He's anointed with the oil of gladness beyond His companions, and just because we know Him, we have a reason to be happy. Our joy flows from His very identity. The very fact that God is happy fills us to overflowing. It's good news. And as I was sitting there, I just heard the word felicity, and I was like, what in the world does that mean? And it means intense joy. I just heard the Lord just call us felicity. And I've been meditating all week on the fact that at the end of the book of the Gospel of John, according to John, there's two stories being told. And one is John's story, and the other is Peter's. And they're kind of being told side by side. And we all know Peter's story. You know, he gets the revelation of Jesus, and a few minutes later, he has to get rebuked by Jesus. And you know, he goes on, and I'll stay with you to the end, Lord. I'm going to go all the way to the cross. And Jesus goes, no, Peter, you're going to deny me. No, rock. You're not going to act like the nature of a rock. The enemy's desired to sift you as wheat, but you're going to break his sifter because you're a rock and you can't sift gravel. But he's going to try. And I've prayed for you. And we know John's story. He ends up denying Jesus. He runs off. He doesn't make it all the way to the foot of the cross. And it hurts him. It really hurts his life. And then we have John's story. And I've never thought of this, but John messed up just as much as Peter did. John was one of the two who wanted to call down fire on the city. And Jesus turns around and goes, you don't know what spirit you're of. What the world are you talking about? He's one of the two that walked up to Jesus and said, Jesus, give me whatever I ask for you. Okay, what? Can I sit on your right hand or on your left side when the kingdom comes? That was Jesus' reaction. Right? I'm pretty sure Jesus knew the face palm. But John had this revelation. You see, he handled it. He touched him. He knew him. He knew the things concerning the word of life. And Peter got the revelation, but John lived it, man. John was the one leaning on the breast of Christ right there, the Last Supper. He's the one that whispered into Jesus' ear, who is it that's going to betray you? Lord, will you share your secrets with me? Will you share your revelation with me? I've just got to be with him. I've just got to know him. And time again, every time he failed, there were two responses. John's response was, I know him, and my identity doesn't matter. I'm going to grasp my identity, and I don't care how many times I fail him, I'm going to chase him, and if it takes me all the way to the cross, I'm going to get there. If it takes me all the way, and if they take me next, here I am. Because I know him. I know what he says about me. And I know that it's true. It doesn't matter if he's if he has to rebuke me. It doesn't matter how many times I'm going to be wrong. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be wrong. Let's cast it to the wind and let's follow him. I remember the day he called me. I remember what he said about me. And so we get to the end, and there's this resurrection. And Peter goes, crap. This can't be true. I have so royally screwed up. If he's raised from the dead, what does this mean for me? What does it mean about me? What does it mean? I failed the very Son of God. The very one who was prophesied. The one that I was trained about. I knew he was coming. And I failed him. What do I do? And so once again, there's those two stories. It leaks back. I think it's Mary Magdalene was there at the garden when the stone rolled away. She goes, she runs, and she tells the apostles. And these two, out of all the apostles, these two men, Peter and John, are the ones that respond to the message, and they run to the tomb. And John sees the stone, and that's it. He goes, it's true. Look at that. He ain't in there. He ain't in there. I know he ain't. And Peter goes, he's got to be in there. I can't take this. I can't take this anymore. He's got to be in there, because if he's raised from the dead, what does it mean? He must hate me. Oh my God, he's sitting there before the Father. I'm going to hell. That's it. I've lost my mission. I'm no good anymore. You might as well throw me away. It can't be true, because if it is, what have I done? Oh, how I failed him. A few days later, it's eating him up so bad. Peter goes, I'm going back to what was working for me before. And he forgot it wasn't really working for him. Completely forgot. Because you remember the call of Peter. Peter's sitting there on the boat, and he hadn't caught anything all night long. And this stranger comes walking on the beach and goes, hey, cast your net on the other side. And Peter completely forgot that. He says, well, this must have worked for me before. This is where I was at. I've always been a failure. I'm just going to keep being a failure. I'm going to sit on the boat, and I'm going to fish, and I'm going to try to make a living. And that's the best I can do. John, you want to come? John goes, okay, sure, why not? And so they're out there, and the same story plays again. We know it. A stranger walks on the beach, and they've been fishing all night long. And a stranger calls out, cast your net on the other side. They catch the fish. And John instantly recognizes, it's Jesus. John was the first one to say it, because I've handled him, I've touched him, I know him. That's Jesus. There's no mistaking it. There's no mistaking that is the Son of God. I know him. I know that. I know that voice. I know that movement. I know that manifestation anywhere. That's Jesus. Peter goes, dang it. And he puts on his clothes because he's stripped for work. And he jumps in the water, and he swims like he's just some human being, because just a few chapters before that he had walked on the water. And he's swimming to Jesus as fast as he can. And when he gets there, he finds a fire made out of charcoal. The very same kind of fire that he denied Jesus in front of. Jesus takes him right back to the place, and he says, hey, buddy, you get a do-over. And it's just about you and me. It's not, Peter, did you do this? Peter, did you do that? How did you feel while I was gone? Let me take you back to your mother and your father, and let's work through this. Peter, you know me. Do you love me? And if you do, then let that be what causes you to react. Let your ministry flow from the place of identity in me. Let your ministry be a byproduct of how you feel about me. And what must it have been like as Peter sits there and remembers that night, standing around the charcoal fire, and a little girl intimidates him so bad that he denies Jesus. And I think in one of the accounts, I want to say it's Luke's account, as soon as the cock crows after the third time that Peter denies him, Jesus actually turns and looks at Peter. What must it have been like to see that same countenance, that same face looking and going, will you say yes this time? I don't care what happened. I don't care how many times you failed me. It doesn't matter how many. You could have denied me 100 times, Peter. You could have failed 100 times. Do you love me? Well, yeah. What about this guy? What about this guy who followed you all the way to the cross? What does he get more than me? Because he actually did it. He succeeded in everything. If I want him to live to the end of time, what is that to you? You follow me. I'm calling you to the same walk. I'm calling you to the same response. And you don't have to be a preacher, and you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be a teacher of millions, and you don't have to be Reinhard Bonnke, and you don't have to be the President of the United States. You follow me and understand that it's not about you. It's not about you. And I like that. Because if it were about me, I would be fishing too. I would be out somewhere doing something, because if it really were about who I was and how many times I had failed him and how I could keep up with him, it's about my identity in Jesus. Isn't it funny how we get the same reaction in the garden as we did with Peter and Jesus? Because Peter's sitting there naked just like Adam was. And Peter has the same reaction that Adam did. I'm naked, I've got to cover myself up. And Jesus goes, not this time. No, not this time. I've come that you might know the Father. See, Adam forgot who he was, but I've come to reveal him. I've come to remind you, this is how I feel about you, mankind. This is what you mean to me. I became incarnate. I humbled myself. The one who knew no sin took on the form of sin, the likeness of sinful flesh, just to show you the value that I have in you. Do you love me? It's pretty darn hard not to. He chases us, man.